So last week I went to Las Vegas, Nevada for the acquisition.com private scaling workshop with Alex and Layla Hormozi and their entire acquisition team. Well, most of them. And I got to say, the feedback that I got from them was basically to go ahead and stop doing business. No, I'm kidding. They didn't tell me that. They actually gave me the best advice and guidance and feedback that I could have asked for in business at this stage, and it basically opened up a lot of the blind spots that I had been missing. So with that being said, what we've done here at High Income Society is gone into a restructuring mode, pivoting a little bit and doing things a little bit differently going forward within the business. Now for you, what I've done is I've compiled some of the top information that I personally found from this event to be very, very helpful. And I put it into this 13-page document for you here today. I'm going to share with you. And I'm only really going to touch on some of the most important points that I feel are going to be of value to you. The rest of them I'll let you go through on your own. But ultimately, I got to say, shout out to their team, acquisition.com, Alex, Layla. Like, this was a really, really cool event. We weren't allowed to take any videos really in the event while it was going on, of course, because it's a private event. But I did sneak a quick picture just before it started just to prove, yes, I was actually there. And I have a picture of the building and stuff like that. It was really, really cool. Actually, let me try and add that in here right now. One sec. There you go. Yeah, so I took a picture of the building and I got my little name tag there with the Scaling Workshop workbook, little notebook. They gave us a calculator and an on-brand purple pen. And we did a really cool little team building exercise as well. I won't get into that because I'll leave that for the event. Also, quick note, at the time when I did pay for this event, it was back in December around Christmas 2023. And at the time, the cutoff, you had to be at least doing $250,000 annually within the business. So whatever that is, like 20, 25K a month, 20K a month around there. So really, that was the cutoff. I don't know if it's changed since then, but if you are able to qualify for this event, I highly recommend it. It was very, very helpful, very useful. And of course, the network, the people that you meet there, entrepreneurs doing way better than you or around your level, and maybe they're in their industry and you guys can team up and collaborate or find new clients. Really, really cool stuff and just a great overall event. Personally, I really wanted to go there just to unlock the next steps as an entrepreneur, see where the blind spots are within the business. And that's why we're making the adjustments that we're making now. So I'll dive into this and show you exactly what I feel is the most important parts that I want to share with you here today. So just to start it off, the CEO thought process that they went over was really, really cool. I figured that this would be a really good part to start. So first of all, they want you to think like investors and less like doers, right? Less like kind of another employee inside of your own business, right? You need to be somebody who is thinking on their feet like an investor. So focusing on resource allocation, the best return on the resources that are used, which is your time, your money, and your energy. And on top of that, you need to be focusing on the theory of constraints. Okay, so wherever the constraint is, you focus on it. But there could be multiple constraints. You focus on the one that is hurting the business the most. So for example, let's say you had a lead problem and you really needed to break it down. So maybe it's not just the leads, but maybe it's the scheduling rate. And why is it the scheduling rate? Maybe the offer or the targeting is off. The show rate, the offer could still be off, right? People aren't really that excited to jump on your call. The close rate, maybe you have a sales issue, right? It's breaking that down and then identifying the constraint and then applying and allocating the resources for it, time, money, and energy to solve that problem. And then we move on to the next one, right? So that was really insightful. It could seem for a lot of people be like, yeah, no shit. Like obviously that's what you would do, but a lot of people don't do it, right? And this goes for everybody, right? There's things that you know that you should be doing in your business and we're just not doing. So they really uncover the blind spots for people when it comes to this type of deal. Okay, so and when investing time, money, and energy, there are 4 possibilities that could be taking place. So you could be solving the right problem the wrong way. You could be solving the right problem the right way, which is what we all want. Or you could be solving the wrong problem the wrong way or the wrong problem the right way. See, as entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time doing things that we just don't need to be doing. And that is detrimental to the business. And I can say that I've been there myself. even on some days, I need to audit what I'm doing because I'm like, am I really focusing on the thing that's getting us to the next level? Right? Am I doing it enough? I don't know. So I need to figure that out. Where is the biggest constraint? And then we focus on that, and then we solve the problem the right way. Okay. Next, they go on to say that businesses will only grow up to the constraints, which I've experienced this firsthand. This was big with our sales process at one point in time, and we had to really fix it. And because we couldn't grow until the sales process was a little bit better. That also comes with finding good talent. I find within sales, it's pretty tough unless you find some good people. So yeah, that's one of those things. Great CEOs build great businesses by allocating resources to the biggest constraints. Okay, pretty self-explanatory up until this point. And the most successful teams access subject matter experts and need to build with the end in mind. So most people, especially nowadays, man, like everybody thinks in like weeks, everybody thinks in months. They don't think in years. Okay, especially if you're an agency and you get people on retainer, you're like, oh yeah, it's a 3-month retainer, and then like most people are thinking in like months. They're not thinking about in the year, how to retain for the year, how to retain over a long period of time, how to get results over a long period of time, how to, especially for us with our processes, like our processes are infrastructure built for long periods of time, right? We have to tell people like, don't expect results in 30 days. Like we've had clients that get those results, but they're exceptional clients. Most people aren't exceptional. Alex says this himself, like most people just won't do it, right? So we need to adjust expectations and build with the end in mind. Now, when they say that most successful teams access subject matter experts, well, that's just getting people that are better than you and assembling them. So instead of thinking like an employee, and if you're a founder, you need to think as somebody who assembles the team of experts and builds them with the end in mind. So if you don't have access to subject matter experts, right, then you're going to rapidly prototype until you force the result. This could even be rapidly prototyping. Essentially what they mean is like if you're trying to go after a specific niche and you're not finding some great results with the offer, it's prototyping and rapidly testing different offers within that niche. So it's the input output equation, right? So there's an input that you go ahead and you produce, which produces an output, and the output gives you a result, which you then take that information, you feed it back into the input and repeat that process until you have a better result over time. And you do that rapidly until, let's say, the offer sticks in that niche, you get more clients, you take the money that you've made, you allocate it towards the next constraint, and then maybe you buy yourself some subject matter experts within the constraint itself, so that way it can be handled by somebody who's better than you. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Okay. Now there's another part here about how to create a great company. I'm not going to go over that. I am going to go over the 5 metrics of risk, which I thought was really, really interesting because this was the kind of stuff that I personally was missing within the business. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Right. And you really need to figure that out. So the 5 metrics of risk that acquisition.com and their team has revealed are these 5 following ones. Okay. So number 1, key man risk. This means that the company needs you to grow. Okay. If you take a vacation for 2 weeks and you come back and your business is on fire and all your clients have left, you have key man risk. Okay. Or if all of your sales go through one individual person, like you have one sales rep who just closes all your deals, you have key man risk. Okay. That is a risk to the business. Key client risk. Your company depends on one or a few high-paying clients. They call them whales, right? The whale clients. Like there's one big client that makes up 60% of our revenue. That is a huge risk to the business. So you can either cut the whale and go for smaller clients, or you just go whale hunting and you get all whale clients. Okay? That's a decision you have to make within the business for yourself, but that was kind of the options that they were giving people within the presentation that they were providing us with. Okay. 3, single channel risk. Okay. That means clients come from one source. This is typically something we see with our clientele, right? It's always typically word of mouth referrals. Word of mouth and referrals are the same thing pretty much. Okay. It's not 2 different channels. It's the same thing. Okay. So typically that is coming from one channel risk, and that's not even attempting, like most business owners aren't actively going out searching for referrals. They just kind of sit back and wait, right? Or maybe they do ask once every quarter or half a year, but It's not that often. So that is a huge risk. That's why within our service as a high income society, we give our clients multiple channels. That's part of our service, is a multi-channel acquisition system to eliminate the single channel risk. And actually, when I was going through this, I was actually looking at the risk compared to our services, and these three right off the bat is exactly what we're solving for, right? Like right off the bat is what we solve for within our business. So I was pretty happy with that. I'm like, all right, sweet, we're on the right path then. The fourth thing here is market risk. So this is your total addressable market, your TAM, okay? And all the people who might buy, or a shrinking or growing market. So for example, you have market risk if you have a newspaper printing business, okay? It is dying. That business is slowly going out. And there's businesses that realistically could be here today and gone tomorrow within the blink of an eye with AI coming into play, okay? So you need to really assess that and see, am I in a really vulnerable spot right now with the market? Take a look at that, okay? Data risk. I can guarantee that 80% of businesses probably have this data risk, right? So they probably don't know their numbers, and their data is not clean, meaning it could be all over the place in spreadsheets, but ideally you want to have no spreadsheets. You want to have a clean CRM, and you want to know your numbers, right? So if I get on a sales call with you and I ask you, how many calls did you have in the last 30 days? And you don't know. That is a number. I mean, it's not the most important number, but you should know that because that's an easier number to know than calculating your EBITDA, calculating your compounding annual growth rate, compounding or calculating your revenue percentage year over year, right? It's the easy numbers that I ask people. We've asked people on sales calls that they don't know, and a lot of people have data risk. Okay, so these 5 here are really important to reduce risk within the business. Okay. This goes into how to value your company. I'm not going to go through that. I'm not going to go through Layla's hiring advice. I will go through Alex's LTV advice. So how to extend lifetime value. Essentially what they went over, and this was a quick one. I actually listened to Alex more than I took notes on this one specifically, just because he was going over the importance of the LTV cycle of your clientele. I do have some more notes on this down here with Alex, but ultimately he shares and what their team has built out, which is called the value acceleration method, or the VAM. Okay. And what it is basically increasing compounding lifetime value year over year for the business. And basically what it is, it's finding and confirming a constraint, it's identifying the solution, and then taking the action steps to solve it, right? So making sure that to add the value, you're adding value to the business by also subtracting the risks that we just went over, okay? And essentially that's what they explained a little bit more in detail. I will go ahead and go over in a bit the points that Alex had made specifically for increasing value and adding revenue to the business. I'll go over that in a little bit. Okay. Day 2 goes over a little bit more into the team's expertise within acquisition.com. So we had a few people come and speak to us in groups, directly one-on-one as well. So we had Caleb, who's their branding manager. I don't know his actual title. I completely forget. My apologies, Caleb. You were great. But ultimately, just a little bit of tips on branding. And this is going to be big for us this year because one of the things I personally put off was making consistent videos. I'm sure you can tell if you're somebody who watches us regularly. I think there's like about 50 to 100 of you that maybe are still here watching regularly. But that's kind of just me not allocating my time appropriately to such a area of the business, but I'm making it a priority now. So it's basically going over and just sharing your expertise, which is why or sharing your expertise and sharing your best stuff, which is why I'm sharing my best stuff here within the scaling workshop, right? Because I want to provide more value and less focus on the algorithm and more focus on making content that you're proud of. That's what I'm looking forward to personally, because I used to do that when I first started putting out content, stuff like that. I was not happy with it. I was like, this sucks. I feel like an idiot. I feel like I'm copying everybody else. I thought it was stupid, right? So I was like, I don't want to do that. It's not the type of business or brand that I want to build for myself, right? Getting a short-term editor specifically for short-term content was really important, right? And then let the viewers see how good you are, scale expertise to the content, push quantity at the beginning to see the feedback of views and engagement, And ultimately, your value to ask ratio, if you are selling anything via content, should be a 12-1. But they said that theirs was a 30-1. So, but I'm sure you could see that within Alex's content. Okay. Next, they have Lindsay. Lindsay was speaking on customer success. This might be applicable to some of you right now, depending on where you're at. But ultimately, it's just tracking on like how your clients are doing to make them stay longer, right? So ultimately, you want to focus on renewal and tracking time to value. So how quick are your clients getting value within the first 60 days? I even shorten this personally to like 30 days because that's what you really want to be doing, is making it faster, right? And ultimately, what you want to be doing as well is tracking through KPIs. So understanding what's the retention and churn of your clients. CSAT is your customer satisfaction score. So which is like, they also do an engagement score. So do they like the tasks that do your clients or customers like the tasks that they're doing? And are they actually doing them? Okay. Do they give you referrals and case studies? Are there any upsells? Okay. So these are what you're going to be taking a look at within the company. Okay. And to keep clients engaged, you want to identify the OCP, not COP, OCP, and focus on one client. Okay, so if you specifically work with real estate investors or real estate development companies, then you just focus on that and you don't vary outside of that. Okay. And when hired as CSM, a customer success manager, you want to do game tape review for quality assurance, Zoom recordings, feedback, and CSM for the feedback. So essentially, just when you hire somebody that is for customer success or client success, you want to be doing game tape reviews just to make sure that you're always iterating and improving on the product itself and the customer and client support. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, I will not go too much into. I'll go over two more sections, and the rest I'm gonna let you do for yourself. So next I'm gonna go over is Jacob. So Jacob, this was actually when I was really excited to speak on, because this is kind of our area of expertise, right? So some stuff I kind of knew, others was pretty helpful. So number one, comes to nailing the list that you're going after. This is 40% of the task, essentially, when you're going after a market. Another 40% is the offer itself, and then nailing the script or the copy that you're outbound. If you're doing outbound marketing, that's what it's going to be on. Okay. Outbound sales is about using an offer that appeals to the prospect's ego. That is something I didn't know. That was one thing I was like, well, I knew it in a sense, but I didn't know it was more so to the ego. I thought it was more so towards the prospect's desire. But now when you say ego and you start doing offers that appeal to it, it makes more sense now, because I've been pitched something to that extent as well. Okay. Track data from outbound and see what works, of course, and incentivize to keep salespeople. Compensation that leads to higher levels and adding their tier structure for a growth plan. We do this inside of our company. It's just making sure that we find talent. So talent is going to be the thing that really, really structures this as well. And the best people will stick around due to a good compensation plan as well. Okay, you want to make sure that your salespeople feel good. And we want to do exit interviews to see why salespeople leave. So this is something we've done before, especially if you do like commission-based setters and salespeople. People are going to churn like a revolving door. So you want to make sure that you're understanding why. And it could just be the fact that they aren't fit for it. There's many people we've come across within our business that are just not fit to be an outbound setter, because it takes a very good amount of skill to do such a thing. Okay. Meeting structure goes over like meeting structure. I won't go over that, but I will go over that this sales process is actually really cool. So this is something that we already do, but I want to share with you guys. And after the discovery call, you want to add the prospect to a WhatsApp group chat with the setter and the closer for adding more value for the prospect asking questions, and this will help with nurturing. So this is actually pretty cool, because ultimately what's happening here is you're adding a touch of personalization to the sales process, and it feels like the prospect is in it with you guys, right? Imagine getting added into a group chat after a sales call or a discovery call, and you can just kind of ask the setter or closer whatever you want leading up to the call. And you kind of feel part of the team almost, in a sense. So I thought that was pretty cool. And you want to follow the set VSL close framework, which is something that we're not a stranger to. So when you set the discovery call, in between, there's a VSL that will pre-nurture prospects, educate them a little bit more on what it is that they're doing, and then we can go ahead and close them given that they're a good fit. And Jacob actually gave us a resource here, Jason Fladlian, I'm not too familiar in him yet. I've checked out his stuff. I think he's sold a lot of products and digital products and services and programs potentially through webinars. So he's somebody who is well versed in that. Just gave us as a resource to go through it. Okay. And the closing call does not move forward if the prospect has not seen the VSL. So if your prospect has not viewed your video sales letter prior to getting on that closing call, you just don't move forward with the call, like at all. Jump on the call like, hey, John, hey, did you get a chance to take a look at the video? No, I haven't. Okay, no worries. So what we can do is we can go ahead and reschedule for later today at this time or tomorrow at this time, which works best for you. Go ahead and watch that video and then we'll jump back on, right? You want to make sure that they're primed. They can see what the value is ahead of time, right? So really important stuff. I thought this was cool down here for financial qualifiers and hard questions, right? So, I mean, we frame it a little bit different within our the way that we do things. And also, I'm a little bit more straightforward of a guy. If I've ever on sales calls, people will definitely, I think they feel like they could get that from me in a sense, but I'm also reading the prospect, so I can be a little bit more straightforward. But also, if you're going to ask like a hard question, like a financial qualifier, you can kind of just tell them like, hey, can I ask you a financial question? Reason being is because we take on clients within a specific revenue mark. So, I mean, where are you as of now with your business is monthly recurring revenue. And that's the formula essentially you want to go ahead and follow. So permission, reason, and hard question. Okay, it's probably better a copy that you can have with that, but that's what I heard when I was there. I was like, okay, I'll write it down. Okay. So that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it for that. I will jump down to Alex's stuff because the rest of you guys can go ahead and read. Ultimately, this is going to help you increase your revenue. Okay. So charge credit card and Stripe fees included in your pricing. So Stripe, as you know, probably takes a big chunk of your money if you charge high ticket. So just include it in your pricing. Turn your sevens in your pricing, excuse me, to nines. So, I mean, if you're somebody who's still doing like, oh yeah, it's $2,000 a month or something like that, the perceived value of you is going down if you're an agency owner. Truth be told, because everybody else charges $2,000 a month. Everybody charges $15,000 a month or $15,000 a month, $15,000, $1,500 per month, right? Or most people charge like anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000 per month, maybe $5,000, and people still thinking that's like a lot, right? Maybe start thinking in terms of $3,700 a month, $4,900 a month, right? $3,800 a month, something like that, right? But they said turning sevens into nines, they found that more people would buy. I thought that was very interesting. Billing cadence, switch it to 4-week periods, not monthly, because there are 13 4-week billing periods out of the year, but there's only 12 monthly billing periods. So you can actually get an increase in revenue just by doing 4-week billing periods instead of monthly. I thought that was interesting. Weekly, quarterly, and annually billing cycles. Annual billing cycles retain clients longer. And you're probably thinking, well, yeah, duh, it's 12 months compared to quarterly, which is a quarter. It's like, yeah, but if you're providing them value within a year's time, the likelihood of them dropping off that next year is very low. They're going to be like, yeah, let's keep it going because you guys have provided so much value, right? Given that you do have a good product. ACH billing from the bank, you would actually go to the bank to get this, depending on where you are, is a 0.8 processing fee compared to Stripe, which is like 2.3 or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Have multiple forms of processing. This goes without saying. So like Stripe, PayPal, something else, right? Layaway payment plans, you want to get paid first. So they talk about, if you're going to do payment plans with clients, make sure that you're getting paid up front to afford your next client. Okay. You can do an ultra high ticket to swing it to a downsell. So let's say like you pitch somebody $10,000 on your product or service. Somebody's like, oh my God, I can't do that. And then, okay, no worries. Well, we can do a version of that, which is basically the same thing. The only difference is that it's kind of self-guided and it's only for $1,000. You downsell them, which is typically which is actually your real service, like your actual service that you prefer to sell. But you'll find that some people will take you up on the 10,000. They'll be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Right? So they said, try it out. The seesaw method, lower up front and raise the monthly billing. So if you want to take a lower up front and raise the monthly billing, or vice versa, higher up front and lower the monthly billing, you can say, how little would you like to pay over time, right? When it comes to closing a prospect. This can also work inversely. So, how much would you like to pay up front? Or how little would you like to pay up front, right? And then adjust the pricing accordingly. Inflation, you can also, in your contractor agreements or anything like that you have with clients, you can say that we adjust based on inflation, right? So whenever inflation goes up, which it has, you can adjust your prices accordingly. If you have like a monthly retainer or something like that, it's just going to increase based on the inflation. Okay. You can also add more increased month-on-month billing. Oh yeah, that's right. So what you can do, instead of you have like a 4-month service, you can increase it to a 5 or a 6. More revenue. Awesome. Successful traits that Alex has found from founders that make them successful, obviously, is being coachable. So you can take feedback and apply it. Being humble, you can delay material gratification. Work ethic, you can stay consistent daily. And hunger, you can stay committed to the end goal. If you have these 4 traits, Alex says this will make you successful. Especially, he said, the longer that you can delay gratification. He said that there'll be people that are making like $700,000 a month, which is great. And at that point, they're kind of like coasting, right? They're like, you can kind of relax, man. Like we got, 10x, like let's, take a break. And Alex is like, no, we need to dial in because we're almost done here and we need to get you to the next level. So delay that gratification, okay? The last part here is just forming new ideas. I think I'm going to leave this here for you guys to go through. But ultimately, if you want help essentially installing this into your business, you guys can go ahead and book a call with us if you want, because we've already built out these processes already since coming back to put it into our clients' companies as well. So if you're somebody who needs a little bit of help doing this, then feel free to book a call with us or leave a comment down below if you have any questions. But I hope you found some value in this. I'll leave the document in the description as well, so you can come and check this out. I hope you guys enjoyed. There's a ton of other value in here that I didn't even touch on, and I think that you guys will find a lot of value from it. See how you can apply it to your own company. But ultimately, I know for us, we are making some changes. We're making some pivots. We're doing things a little bit differently than what we're doing within the past year. But it seems like year over year, we're getting better and better. And every time I go to things like this, which again happens maybe once or twice a year, I feel like I come back and I just have the information to make the transition and then just go. So that's what we're doing here. And we are going to be improving things as we always do. And for me, like personally, I think that we can definitely get some better people on board, because I've shifted things within the company where we've had to let some people go, and then we had to put some better processes in place. And not that it's anyone's one fault, it's just part of building the business. They even said when I was at this workshop, Alex said this himself, the business that got you from $100,000 a month to $1 million a month, you got to kind of go backwards a little bit and restructure and rebuild to then get it back up to that revenue mark. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. And yeah, I'm really pumped to put some plans into action here and make some pivots where need be. So anyways, I hope there's some value here in this for you guys. I definitely found a lot of it within this workshop event. It was really, really fun. So if you ever get the chance to go, let me know if you ever do. And you'd like to share the experience on how you thought it was. But ultimately, big shout out to Hormozi's, the acquisition.com team. This was an awesome event. And I look forward to working closer with the team very, very soon. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next.